Hey, Amy,
Yes, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? Welcome to another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez. Let's get the business out of the way. Make sure if you are listening to us on the audio version of the show, that podcast, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, write us a review, rate us. This is all going to help us grow the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up and let us know how we're doing on the show. Leave us some comments there. Also, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram's Threads and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, how are you? Long time no see.
Oh, it feels like it's been forever. Happy Pie Day. It's 3.14.
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
I said Happy Pie Day. P-I.
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity. Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
Okay, Amy. So how do you celebrate Pi Day?
Well,
And why is it so important to you?
Math. Hello. Baseball is built off of math. I went over.
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity. Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
Yeah.
Were
so,
you
as
good at math? Are you good at math?
I was an accountant for 20 years before I switched careers.
Oh, wow. The more you know.
Little fact. Do. No, so I went across the street to Vaughn's where they share my love of Pie Day and profit. And they have a little basket of tiny little pies. And they said in honor of National Pie Day. And so it made me so happy. I meant to send you a picture. I think I was so excited that I forgot.
So when you celebrate Pi Day, you celebrated with a pie, not a pizza pie, because I would have celebrated probably with a pizza pie.
I didn't have that much time on my lunch. Otherwise, I would have, because I think Pieology actually has specials for Pie Day. So yeah, just depends on what you can make it out to.
There were a lot of Blaze Pizza was offering one. So yeah, a lot of your fellow nerds. I didn't know that this was such a big day for you guys. So I pay my respect. Hey nerds, congratulations. I hope you guys had a very nice Pie Day. Amy, let's start the show the way we always start the show, with our base running blunders. And I have one, Amy. And
I have two. I have one too.
Oh, you have two? Okay, well, ladies first. You go ahead. You outrank me.
Well, when we were talking about the mistake in the game where CT3 and Lux let the ball drop in, I said that Bobby Miller got an earned run. He actually got an unearned run. So it did come around and score, but that wasn't on him. It was on the air. So my apologies for misspeaking.
Okay, and then what's the next one?
So not really a base running blunder per se, but I figured out my movie for my favorite Will Ferrell movie, and it's Zoolander.
Oh, that's right. And why? Why are you such a big Zoolander fan, Amy? Tell us.
I love Zoolander. There is so quotable. Some of my favorite quotes come from there. Like, my allergies are a little out of control today, so like, got the black lung pop. Like, there's so many good ones, and every so often I'll send you the gif of Mugatu, and it's just like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. So Will Ferrell is great in that movie.
So I that does bring me to one of our listeners, viewers, David Wants a Taco, did send us a message saying, so this podcast has officially become a Dodgers movie podcast, because he's all for that. And I know David is a big fan of the Big Lebowski. So David, because you are such a great supporter of the program, here's to you, man. Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here. It's my favorite line for the Big Lebowski. Look, Amy, don't feel so bad. I have a base running blunder myself that was pointed out by one of our listeners.
Wait. But you're perfect.
I'm sorry.
How is this possible? You're perfect.
I'm what?
You're perfect.
Yes, thank you. It's amazing how when you whisper, I hear it so clearly.
I know.
Look, I want to fight this on a technicality, but because this listener is a very intelligent person and he's been a great supporter of us since we started the show, um, I feel like I need to acknowledge it. So when we were talking about the fact that the
I'm getting ready
Dodgers,
to judge. I'm getting ready to judge it. I'll weigh in as well.
yes, please, please. So when
Go.
we were talking about the Dodgers have the largest seating capacity in terms of baseball ballparks, what 56,000. It turns out that the Oakland Coliseum, the Athletics, is larger. Now, once the A's leave town, the Dodgers will be the largest seating capacity. Now, the issue, the technicality that I have, and I argue before the court, is a lot of the times the Oakland A's don't make those seats available. Now, if they make the playoffs, then they do sell all 56,000. But if it's a regular game in the middle of the week, they put that black tarp over those seats. Therefore, those seats are not available. And therefore, I argue that it's not truly a 56,000 capacity stadium. Amy, what do you say?
Ooh, okay, and so this is partial my base running blunder too, because I looked up the stat for Dodger Stadium, so I'm on the hook too. Now, according to the Googles, there are like three figures here, so I'm just gonna say everybody's right. So what it is saying is the county coliseum has up to 60,000. It can seat up to 60,000 patrons, but if you go into the actual capacity, it says for baseball, it's 46,847. It is expandable to 56,782 without tarps. So technically, they would have 782 more seats than we do. So, and then for concerts, they can go anywhere from 47,416 to 64,829. So that's a lot of different numbers.
Yeah, but I think we have to go with the baseball number. And so the baseball number is 56,000. And look, the thing this listener did, I love it because he always does it in a very respectful way. And he just wants us to be right. He just wants the truth said. So I
We're
want to thank him.
award
I want
it
to
to
thank him.
the we'll award it to the listener. We'll
Yeah.
we'll take
So
the L.
yeah, so we're gonna take the we got picked off on that one. So
Yeah.
we ended the ending on that. So hey, look, we were on a streak. Now we just gotta restart the streak. But again,
And base running blunders.
no, but you know what? I love this because it shows that our listeners are invested in the show. So I don't take offense to any of
No.
this. I think it's fantastic that our listeners go ahead and do that. So
Well,
with
and
that
I
being
just learned something about the Coliseum today. So thank you for whoever shared that with us.
exactly, and now we can't wait for them to move to Vegas, so then the Dodgers can have the largest capacity in Major League Baseball. Amy, let's go ahead and start the show. I want to do an update. I want to go to the update desk because in our last episode, we spent a lot of time talking about injuries to Major League Baseball players, in particular, injuries to pitchers. And for the first time, we got an actual explanation as to what type of procedure, what type of surgery Shohei had at the introductory press conference at Dodger Stadium. When Shohei was asked, what the surgery was, he really didn't go into much detail. But now there was an explanation there, and I found this very interesting because I feel like this is the first time it's really been explained, or it could be wrong, that there is basically now a hybrid version of Tommy John, which is what Shohei had. Why are you laughing at me, Amy?
Because this was part of the article that we just talked about. So you're about to get to one of the doctors who pioneered that surgery, in addition to Dr. Neil Ella Trash. But Dr. Keith Meister was part of our article from the last episode, and he's one of the ones who pioneered this hybrid surgery. So look at us putting things together.
Right? He is the physician for the Texas Rangers. Now, do you want to explain to our audience what this new hybrid surgery is, Amy?
Yeah. So essentially, what he was saying is that it involves an internal brace. So it's an added braided suture to repair the torn ligament. And then they do that with the insertion of the tendon, like what is traditionally done with the Tommy John surgery. So the new piece of this hybrid procedure is that added braided suture. And essentially, what I guess Dr. Neil Trash was saying was when Shohei Ohtani pitched in spring training last year, he hit up to 103.5 miles per hour when he was pitching with the Angels, and everybody else was ecstatic about it. But he, being the one who did the original surgery, was alarmed. And I don't know, did you have a quote on that one, or I think I have one.
I don't have a quote, okay. But it is because it was exactly what we talked about in the last episode, right? And that was his concern, was that it was the high velocity was putting more strain and stress on the ligament.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. He said, I was maybe the only one concerned because of the jump in velocity, especially after a Tommy John's operation. Over the course of 2 to 3 years, to that magnitude is exponentially more strain and stress on the ligaments. So it's just interesting that we just had that article where there are people kind of going up against Dr. Keith Meister of the Texas Rangers, just like, we don't really see it, but I don't know. We presented a lot of numbers in the last episode. You can go back and listen to some of that. I think it was towards the end. But this is just kind of, this article you found is really just backing this up. There's only, I think they said that there's a short list of people who've had it done thus far. Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow. So we've got 2 of them on our team.
Yeah, which I found very interesting, because I think Tyler Glasnow, that's going to be the litmus test, right? Because we're starting to see signs of it now. I mean, he's looked really good in spring. So if Tyler Glasnow, who I think everybody is concerned, can this dude stay healthy? I think the fact that everybody is just like, look, if this guy stays healthy, he's a great pitcher. But that's the question with him. Will he stay healthy? Now, I know when he first got traded to the Dodgers, he has said that he has never felt this good before. So we're going to see the effects of this surgery. And it's funny because they're basically calling it an enhanced version of the Tommy John, right? So the brace aspect, that's the new part of this procedure. And that I want to make sure that we give credit, because the brace part, that was created by Dr. Jeffrey Dugas, or Douglas. How would you pronounce that name? Am I being bougie by going Dugas?
No, let's go Dugas. We just said it a couple different ways, so I'm sure we covered the spectrum there.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because we have 3 doctors that are going to get attributed with just revolutionizing perhaps pitchers' careers. We have the original doctor, Dr. Frank Jobe, who did Tommy John, but now we get to add Dr. Keith Meister and then Dr. Jeffrey Dugas to this. And if this is going to help pitchers pitch longer, then look, by all means, I'm for it. I think this is crazy, Amy, but in September of this year, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the Tommy John surgery. It's been 50 years that Tommy John, this surgery has been around in Major League Baseball. Look, you marvel at science, right? I mean, don't judge me just because I believe in science.
Nerd alert. Sorry.
Wait, are you giving me a nerd alert because I quoted Nacho Libre?
Nerd alert! Beware, beware. There is a nerd in the vicinity. Hey man, someone's nerding out over here.
Look, David Wants a Taco has said that this is officially a Dodgers film podcast. So I don't think it's nerding out if I quote a movie.
No, I don't think so at all. And I think when I send you that that GIF more often than not, I think I make that's your character because you believe in science. So I mean,
I love that I'm such a fat ass and you call me Esqueleto, because that's the irony. See, that's what happens in the Mexican culture. We like to give each other ironic nicknames. So the fact that Amy calls me Esqueleto, it's not that she fucks with me. It's just she's doing it out of love, really.
Well, and I like to be Nacho Libre. Like I want to be down there with my
Nacho.
And honestly, I probably wear leggings more than you do. So really, sometimes when a man is alone in his room.
Well, the other thing, that the big part that came out of this news, and I don't think the Dodgers have confirmed this, that out of this story was the fact that Ohtani is projected to pitch a simulated game in September. Now, the fact that they're doing this, I don't know if they're doing this to commemorate, because in September it'll be the 50th anniversary of Tommy John. This feels like this is being planted for a future story. Um, or do you really think that the Dodgers are contemplating, if he pitches a similar, there's no way they're going to let him pitch, right? Like, if he pitches that simulated game and looks good, there's no way they're going to consider letting him pitch in the playoffs, are they?
There's speculation about this, I think, during the off season, and I tend to be a little more cautious in this respect, and I don't care if he's ready or not. I don't want to see him pitch this year. I think the money that is being spent on him, the fact that this is a newish procedure, they were even saying in the article that he'll be part of that study that they're doing, looking at all these guys and what happens to them with these procedures. I really don't think, is it worth it to push him to pitch in the postseason? I know we're talking about this and the season hasn't even officially started, but to me, on the cautious side, anniversary or not, I don't think it's a great idea. But you know what? I could be proved wrong by the time the season progresses.
And I also, again, I think it is important that the source in that article about the simulated game was not the Dodgers. Now, I understand that that Shohei kind of controls whatever he wants to do. So come September, if Shohei feels like he wants to pitch a simulated game, then maybe, I mean, this is way, I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but I just did find that interesting that it was included in the story. And of course, on social media, everybody ran with it. Everybody's just like, oh, Shohei's going to pitch a simulated game in September. Whether that actually really happens is yet to be seen. But it was very fascinating just to hear this new process. But again, I think the focus should be more on Tyler Glasnow, because Glasnow is the one that's actually had the procedure and is actually pitching now. And so far, he looks great.
Okay, so let's just mark this point right here. So when September rolls around, when we fight for Glasnow to be the one who pitches in September, I'm going to credit you with that idea. So, we don't need Shohei per se pitching. We don't need to do that too early. Let's do Glasnow and Juan, I'm going to give you your early flowers for that. It's a great idea.
I appreciate that. See, this is why I love working with you. Shohei continues, of course, to dominate the headlines. And so I woke up this morning and all I saw was a picture being posted. And then all of a sudden, everybody was saying that this was Shohei's wife. So there was this picture that was posted as the Dodgers were boarding their plane to go to Seoul, Korea. And it wasn't just Shohei and this woman, but it was Yamamoto was in the picture. Shohei's translator was in the picture. And I have to say, my initial reaction when I saw the picture, Amy, was I felt like it felt like such an invasion of privacy, right?
100%. I think that's how I immediately felt when you messaged me and I was like, I don't even want to go look for this. I don't want to know.
But what changed your mind?
When I saw, I got excited and I just sucked in too hard.
If you need a minute, I can go ahead and stall for you. I'm gonna, because everybody was enjoyed my singing on the last episode. I can do another song.
I will rally and save everybody's ears by everybody. You're welcome. You are welcome. What I was gonna say before I tried to kill myself.
Water really fast just so I wouldn't sing. Wow.
So I didn't actually injure myself. When I saw that the Dodgers had posted it and it came from them, I knew that he would have had to have signed off on that. At that point, I was like, all right, we're good. But initially I had the same reaction. Like it was so cringe seeing it before I saw the Dodgers put that up there. And it was just like, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to know, like, let the man have his privacy. And then it was like, all right, if he's cool with it, then I just want to be happy for him. And that's literally all I feel for him is good for him. If he's happy, I'm happy.
It just fascinated to me because it's like, where do we draw the line? Because look, you and I, we've both been in the clubhouse before the game, and Freddie Freeman's son is always there. Charlie Freeman is there, and then like sometimes Kershaw's family is out on the field. So we do see players' families involved, and the question I guess always applies is this news? Do we need to know this? Is this off limits? So I do feel like stuff like when he announced that he had gotten married, I was just like, well, isn't the news what he does on the field? Isn't the news like what he does as a player as opposed to his personal life? But then again, personal lives of baseball players have affected their play on the field. So I think I feel like there's such a fuzzy line here that this need to, and it turns out, I guess she's a basketball player. I know immediately the jokes were coming that their child, if they ever have children, is going to end up being the most elite athlete in the entire
Mhm.
world.
I think you're right though. It is a fine line, and for me, it comes down to that invasion of privacy. If there are certain things that they want to share, like you said, like Joe Kelly will have his kid out there, Freddie Freeman, Kershaw, Miguel Rojas has had his son out there, son, daughter. I can't keep straight all the kiddos that are on the field, but if they have them out there, like I know for me, if I get pictures of them playing, those are not the ones I post because those are not my children. It's not my place to post that. Um, but I think you do need to balance out what's on the field with some of that human side of them, but it's only what they're willing to share. So I think that's why that changed for me too. If it's somebody who happened to be near that plane and got a picture and released it, that's where it makes me cringe a little bit versus like if the Dodgers media department were taking pictures and Shohei signed off on it, or, then we're good. But if he had been like, great if you guys take these pictures for posterity, please don't post these, post the ones of just me and my interpreter, my translator, and let's do those. I would totally respect that. But I think because he signed off, that's where that fine line for me is okay.
And it just poses the question, and I think you've had this discussion with some of your friends, and it's like, man, I feel like we've learned so much about Shohei, and we didn't know any of this stuff about the Angels. It's like, oh, Shohei's changed. I know you've even heard people say, oh, he looks so much happier now with the Dodgers. And it's like, is it really true though, Amy? I mean, has Shohei changed?
From what I have an Angels fan pal, and I asked that question, and he was like, "No, he's always been like this. Like he's been happy on the field. Like it's not like he was moping around Angels Stadium." And once I started thinking about that, like I remember seeing some stuff on social media last year where I think he was doing like karaoke on one of the buses. Like he had fun. I think we just didn't pay attention because he wasn't in our sphere. And I mean, if you wanna quantify it, is he having more fun with the Dodgers? Are we finding more about him now? I don't know, because I honestly didn't pay attention before, so I'm not the person to quantify it.
Yeah, I feel like Dodger fans are telling on themselves when they say stuff like that. It's just like, you only pay attention to the Dodgers. You don't pay attention to the rest of Major League Baseball. I think that's part of the problem. I think that's part of the reason why the sport now has become so regionalized and it's no longer a national sport. Because I think there was a time, especially when I was younger, when I was a kid watching baseball, I felt like I knew more on a national level about baseball, and now I'm guilty of all these other Dodger fans where all I do is just pay attention to the Dodgers. But I want to change that. I want to be able to speak about everything that's going on in Major League Baseball. But Amy, I gotta ask you, for me, it is interesting because I still feel that Shohei has retained his privacy. And like you said, we only know this information because Shohei wants us to know this information. Because with the stuff that he doesn't want to know, that's still going to be, under wraps. But is it too extreme to say that it feels like this dude seems pretty open, like a lot more open than I thought he was going to be. I thought he would be a lot more private. I wasn't expecting him to talk to the media as much as and it's not to say that he's been talking to the media a lot. I just really expected him to just never talk to the media.
I mean, I would agree with that. I guess it really just comes down to whatever he wants to share when he wants to do it. I had no expectations for him because I do not like they're asking me, right? But I do wanna make sure that they get to keep their privacy intact, and to me, it's like I baseball is a telenovela in itself, and I love that in the game. But I'm not, while I want to see those peeks into their, it's not even their private life. I just want to see their personalities off the field. And I feel like we get that when they're doing videos behind the scenes in the clubhouse, on the field. To me, that's enough. If you want to share stuff in your personal life, great. If he wants to do that and he opens up more, awesome. But yeah, to your point, I didn't think that he would share as much as he has, especially in light of kind of the privacy that he asked for when he announced his marriage. But you know what? He's growing up with this team too. So as he gets older, maybe these are the things that he does want to share, or you know what, maybe he's just trying to get ahead of the curve. I know people are going to see this happen, or I don't want to not travel with my person, so let's just get this out of the way now. Who knows what his thought process is, but at the end of the day, it's probably better if he releases it versus other people just fishing it out and then throwing it up on social media.
I think that's a very interesting point that you bring up, in the sense that I do feel he is controlling his narrative. And I think we're starting to see more players, more athletes try to do a better job of controlling the narrative. You're only going to see what I want you to see. It was surprising, but let's talk about some actual baseball, Amy. Another thing that kind of pissed off everybody unnecessarily, things that need to get pissed about, but you really don't, is the Yamamoto outing. So Yamamoto made his last outing in the Cactus League on Wednesday. And the numbers, if you just look at the numbers, you're going to think, wow, Yamamoto didn't look good. He got shelled. But it's really a kind of a tale of two cities. I mean, the first 3 innings, he dominated. He went right through that lineup. It was the 4th and the 5th inning that he got hit. And so immediately, of course, we started seeing the panic on the social media.
Can I just say real quick before we get into the panic? In that 3rd inning, he got out of it in 7 pitches. So like he sat everybody down 1 through 3 innings. And then the wheels started to come off a little bit in the 4th and the 5th. But okay, now you can go back into your panic. Carry on.
well, I mean, here, I guess this is the question, right? It's like, so here are his overall spring training numbers. He pitched a 9 1/3 innings, 14 Ks. His ERA was 8.38. He only had 3 starts. Okay. So is it justified for all these people to panic, or can a reasonable person like yourself tell me, like, what do we do with this?
Nothing. That's 3 games. The guy just came over from Japan. He's getting used to our mound. He's getting used to the ball. He's getting used to pitching on, what are we on, 5 days? I don't know. We might still be doing about a week with him right now. But like, okay, if the world does want to run around screaming, if we want to Chicken Little it, what is that going to accomplish? Is it going to make him pitch better?
But I also, and some of the things that I observed, and again, this is one of the things where you just can't focus on the numbers. You have to watch him pitch, right? And one of the things, I think some of these numbers are misleading. For example, the ERA, I think, is very misleading because his defense did not help him at all in at least 2 of those 3 starts. And clearly, I think there's a lot of people that felt they should have been errors, but they weren't given errors. And because they weren't given errors, those end up being earned runs. So that's why I feel his ERA is a little misleading. It is also 3 starts. It is also spring training, and it is everything that you just said, in the sense that this guy, I know we don't look at him as a rookie, but he is a rookie. He's never pitched in Major League Baseball. And again, even though it is spring training, it is a different level of competition. If you watched him in that Mariners game, he mowed through them the first time around the lineup. The second time around in the lineup, and look, everybody says this, baseball is a game of adjustment. You have to tip your hat to the Mariners hitters, because the Mariners hitters were swinging on the first pitch every single time they were at bat. And look, Yamamoto was throwing strikes. They do this to Kershaw. They know that Kershaw throws a first pitch strike. So a lot of people, when they're facing Kershaw, they're up there swinging. And these guys, the Mariners, were going opposite field on Yamamoto. So a lot of this is, you got to tip your hat to the Mariners. Like these guys, in the words, like they drive nice cars too. And Dontrell Willis loves saying that quote, but it's like you got to tip your hat, and that's why. Okay, when Yamamoto pitches, he has to adjust to the league. The
Well,
league will then adjust.
and he's making more adjustments too. Like they were even saying on the broadcast, what we saw in that first game where he tended to hold the glove a little farther out, he has made the adjustment where he has brought it in more. So they're tweaking all of those things. We also don't know what the team is having him work on. So that's also a factor. Maybe they're like, "Hey, today we want you to go out and just focus on this one thing. Don't care what happens behind you, don't care what happens at the plate, just do this thing." And then on top of that, people are getting tape on him. So you've had 2 games worth of tape. You don't think people are going, not you, but people aren't watching that and trying to, okay, how do we figure this guy out? Because even with 2 starts, people want to get ahead of that game before we start the regular season, so that when they face him, they know, okay, we know what we're going up against. So it is the adjustments. It is other people who are going to watch as much tape on him as they can, and we don't know what he's working on.
Well, immediately there was that theory that he was tipping his pitches, but again, you mentioned the adjustment that he made, and you're right, we don't know. I think what was apparent also is, it came up in one of the interviews after his second start, is he does look like a different pitcher when he's pitching out of the stretch. He doesn't seem to be as comfortable pitching out of the stretch. And I don't know if that's something that he dealt with when he pitched in Japan, but he looks very hittable when he's pitching out of the stretch. But again, I tip my hat to the Mariners hitters. The Mariners hitters obviously saw something the second time around, and they took advantage of that in the 4th and the 5th inning. So I don't know if panic is the right word. I think maybe, and this is again people telling on themselves, because people absolutely refuse to admit that maybe they're not right all the time. These are the people that are saying Yamamoto is going to come in here and he's going to dominate the same way he dominated in the Japanese league. Hey, there might be an adjustment because again, he's facing a better level of competition. His talent may translate, but he may not be as dominant as you guys think, or perhaps at the beginning of the season, he's not going to be like that. And eventually he will evolve. I think we just can't lose sight of the fact that he is a rookie. He's an experienced rookie, but he's a rookie. And this is Major League Baseball. This is the greatest level of competition in the world when it comes to playing baseball.
It's so funny to me, like, and again, this just comes back to like my goal this year. I just want to enjoy the game. Are we going to have conversations? Is there going to be frustration? Yeah, but the guy's 3 starts in, like literally 3 starts in. And this is spring training. So this is where he's going to be working on stuff. We brought up Emmett Sheehan straight from AA into the majors. He did pretty good, just like Yamamoto's doing pretty good, but he's had some things to get over and adjust to in the big show. So like the fact that we're expecting him to be this amazing starter right out the gate, and he very well could be by the time the regular season starts, who knows? But it just like it feels like we don't give these guys the chance to be human and make mistakes, and we want perfect baseball, and that's not how this game worked. If we had perfect baseball, I mean, it goes back, we've talked about this before, we'd have way more World Series rings in our cabinet, and like it just, but the game also wouldn't be fun. This is what makes it unpredictable. We have one of the greatest teams on paper. How is that going to translate with the humanity once it hits the field, with injuries, with personalities? That's what we all tune in to watch. I mean, at least that's what I tune in to watch. I don't know. If people want to panic though, I'm not going to tell them not to. You can do whatever you want. I'd rather put my energy somewhere else.
It is fascinating because it's a game of failure, right, Amy? And it's like when someone fails, people just can't deal with it. And look, I know that this is not all fans. I know that there is a very logical and reasonable fan base out there that understands that this is a marathon, that, this guy's going to go up and down through things. But it's also that sense of we have to have immediate gratification. We have to have an opinion immediately. And it's like, I don't know if we have to, guys. Like, I really feel like you can be like, let's keep an eye on that. I don't think we have to be definitive on everything immediately.
Well, and okay, so let's say we are. What if he doesn't meet our expectations? Then what? What are you going to do?
Nobody's going to admit to it, by the way. I'm telling you right now, all those people that said Yamamoto is going to be fantastic, he's going to be great. If he doesn't turn out to be that way, nobody's going to admit that they were wrong on him.
What if he's not a great pitcher, but what if he's a good pitcher? Like, where does it begin to be not good enough? Because that has a negative undertone. But, like, again, when are we just going to go back to just enjoying the game? Like, he could be a good pitcher. Uh, We could watch the game. We could have a good time. We might lose some. We are going to lose some games this season. It's gonna suck, but that's baseball. Like I don't know. This is something that I just can't wrap my head around because to me it's like there are so many other things going on in the world that are competing. This is why I tune into the telenovela. I just want to see my stories. And you know what? He might have a great day and I might be excited about it. And he might have a down day because we all have those. That's why we relate to this game. If they had to be perfect all the time, like, I don't know, it's just not realistic.
Expectations are a hell of a thing, Amy. And
I know, right?
it's like once you have them, I mean, I think realism sometimes gets thrown out the window, but then there's other times that, my expectation. Look, if his ERA is over by the end of the year, if his ERA is over 3, I think that's a huge win. It's a huge win.
And to your point about expectations, like how is that fair to him? Like let the guy go out and play, let him earn his spot. Like we're seeing how that unravels for Gavin Lux. Like it's not cool. You have people who are upset about it. Like I love there was a bunch of stuff across social media that was like let's lift up Lux. That's what we should be doing across this sport in my opinion. We should be lifting these guys up. If they're having a bad day, how do we make them feel better? We're a fan base. We're one of the best traveled fan bases in baseball. Why don't we use that energy to like lift people up? All right, what can we do to make this player feel better about it versus like, oh man, you blew another play or put that up on social media. I don't know, let's try to be positive about it this year. Challenge everybody to that.
Look, I know this is going to make me an asshole, but it's not my job to make these guys feel better about themselves. This is a result-driven, industry.
Sure,
And
but how
so,
do you feel after the game like that? If you don't need to like pump them up and be their cheerleaders, but if you have expectations and they're making you not happy about the game, like whose fault is that?
well, that's what I got to learn because there's 162 games. Okay. If they lose a game, I can't. And look, I am guilty of this. I am one of these people that my mood is dependent on whether the Dodgers win or lose a game. And that is just a horrible way to go through life. You shouldn't do that. It's like I hear your voice in my head all the time. Do you even like baseball, bro? It's just like, it's just like, of course, I want the Dodgers to win. I know they're not going to win. And trust me, all my experience on live, I have a lot of proof that the Dodgers don't win all the time.
You're a Raiders fan.
That's right. You can't hurt me. You can't hurt me. I'm a Raiders fan. So, I mean, the thing is this, it's about, I want to focus on enjoying the game, and it's all aspects of the game. And that to me also means enjoying how the other team plays. Like if another team comes in there and kicks our ass and they play really well, if I truly love baseball, shouldn't I appreciate how the other team was playing too? Yeah, I know I'll get frustrated because I know how many times, we beat ourselves. And it's just like, no, bro, the other team just executed and we didn't. That's part of the game, I know. So it's just, I think also I just need to get off of social media, at least get off of Twitter because it's just a cesspool.
Mhm. I would, yeah, there's some good stuff but it feels like it's fewer and far between on social media. And I guess Instagram feels like it's a little bit more positive, but a lot more people tend to congregate on Twitter. So it's like, it's that necessary evil. And that's where like, for me, I'm challenging myself. Like I want to have fun this season. There are games where I'm like, yeah, this team really did lose to themselves. Kudos to the other team, but like, we really biffed some stuff. But that's where I want to remember, you know what? I go through days and I biff things. I don't have people following me around and reminding me of it all day long. These guys do, and just because they make more money doesn't make it feel any better. So,
Absolutely. So earlier today, we saw the Dodgers get on the plane and head to Korea. Now, on Wednesday's game, Will Smith was supposed to catch Yamamoto, but he was a last minute scratch because he had back stiffness. So, of course, immediately after that, and actually even during the game, it was being addressed, right, Amy?
yeah, so Rick Monday brought up that because of the lower back stiffness, that there was really no reason to aggregate it with a long flight because it was going to be for 14 hours. He even mentioned 6,248 miles for my fellow math nerds out there, and that to put him on a plane like that would not be necessary. But as you let me know today, Juan, because you were more on the socials than I was, um, I believe he actually was on that flight.
Yeah, Will Smith boarded the flight, so he is going to be going. They're probably already there in Seoul, Korea. So the question is this, Amy: if he truly has back stiffness, he has an issue like that, is it the best idea to put him on a plane? Like, would the Dodgers have been better served? Because we all know this has been an argument. This is an ongoing argument. There is a major drop off when you go from Will Smith to Austin Barnes. So, do you really want to jeopardize losing Will Smith for a longer period of time for 2 games? Because this is what this is. This is essentially 2 games. Um, would they have been benefited like from taking another catcher like Hunter Fredusha? But it turns out Hunter Fredusha, if you look, he only played like in 5 games in spring training. It's like we didn't see much of Hunter Fredusha. The catcher that I saw a lot of was Oki, and Oki
Mhm.
isn't even on the 40-man roster, so they can't take him to Korea. And you had mentioned before they can take 31 players with them, but only 26 of them would have been active. So I've been hearing this, people arguing back and forth. Would you have told Will Smith, just stay back?
I would have. If I'm putting on my managerial hat, I would have left him at home just because I need him to be healthier down the stretch for a longer run. And you know what? Maybe this gives Austin Barnes a couple more reps that he needs, and it'll be 2 days, in a row. I We're gonna play him during the season anyway. Let's give him some playing time. So I personally would have preferred that Will stayed back and rested his back a little bit more. But who knows? Maybe he just wanted to go. Maybe they will play Austin Barnes over there, and Will be the backup catcher.
That's I think is an interesting point, because what if Will Smith wanted to go? Because think about it. I mean, it's like, hey, I'm curious. I'd like to go to Korea, and it's going to be on the team's dime. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take advantage of this. The other thing I was thinking of was, what if he just used the excuse of back stiffness? He just didn't want to play on Wednesday. What if he was just like, you know what, man, I'm going to get on a plane tomorrow for 14 hours, and you want me to catch? You know what? Oh, my back is acting up. Maybe, maybe his back isn't as bad as it is, but this is the problem, right? I mean, this is why we have a show, because we like to overanalyze everything. But as a result of this, what I keep hearing now, and the chatter's starting to get longer on this, is why are we even having this game in Korea to start the season? Because both the show pods and the Dodgers are going to be at a disadvantage because they're going to come back. I know the Dodgers had the freeway series to get acclimated, but you've heard this, especially in the NBA. Travel takes a toll on these athletes, and when you're making unnecessary trips, why are we doing this? And look, I understand why they're doing this. They're growing the game internationally. This is a deal. This is a part of a whole series of international trips. In the end, this is all about money. They are going to Korea because they're getting paid a lot of money to play these games over there. Now, if you want to make an argument whether they should have been exhibition games as opposed to games that really counted, I think that's a different argument. But where do you stand on the fact that the Dodgers are going to be starting their season in Korea?
It's going to happen no matter what, whether we want it, mid-season, beginning of the season. I think the start of the season seems like the best. That way they're not dealing with this partway through the season, maybe not even getting the days off that they would need. There is global interest. Like you said, we're trying to grow the game. We do call it a World Series, so it does make sense to not just have it be so, American focused if we are bringing in players from other countries. So I think sure, if we're gonna do it, we need to do it. But I still maintain let's get rid of the freeway series then. Why are we even doing that? And honestly, the way that this is gonna go, because those are still exhibition games, spring training games, we may not even see some of the major players in that game. It may all just be some of the spring training roster people just getting a couple more reps in. So who knows? Even if they are going to Seoul, Korea for this, our guys may get that extra rest. They may not even be in the freeway series. So we don't know, but I don't think they should do it later in the season. It's going to happen no matter what. I'd rather do it at the start.
And you know what? You bring up, so to your point about canceling the freeway series, I felt the same way you did. And I got a very interesting counter argument to that. And it was just like, no, you need these games so the players can get acclimated again. You don't want them to go to Korea and then have that long layoff. And the
Like the
next time they play,
postseason.
exactly. The next time they play, it's opening day against the Cardinals. So I kind of see that in there. And I do think that maybe the Dodgers are going to struggle a little bit in the beginning of the season because I think their time, I mean, these guys are all used to routines and their routine is being, upset at this point. But we already saw rumors today that the Dodgers are going to be one of the teams that are going to be chosen to play in Japan next year. And that game's going to be played at the Tokyo Dome. And look, it all makes sense. I mean, there's
Potentially. Rumors, potentially. Go on.
right. Nothing's been confirmed because the thing is that I couldn't find, Amy, and I'm wondering if you can find this. But so in the collective bargaining agreement, they do get extra pay for traveling to these series, whether it's in London, whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in the Dominican Republic. Like next year, both in 2025 and 2026, there's already series that are going to be played in San Juan, Puerto Rico, right? So the players do get extra money for doing this. But I was under the understanding that the same team could not travel in back-to-back years. So, but I can't find anything in the collective bargaining agreement that says that. So I don't know if that's just bullshit what I'm hearing, or if the players union has to vote, or to say, okay, we'll allow the Dodgers in back-to-back years to travel. This year it's in Korea. Next year it's going to be in Japan. But if this whole Japan thing, if the Dodgers are the team that's selected, I mean, they're talking about playing exhibition games against Otani's former team, the Nippon Ham Fighters. So there's, of course, all these interesting storylines that are all great for growing the game, which is what this is all about. Have you seen anything, though, about teams traveling in back-to-back years?
I hadn't. It hadn't even occurred to me that that might not be allowed. That's definitely something we can look into. Um, I'm wondering, is it something that teams are volunteering for? And again, this might be something that we need to look into because I'm not as familiar. Until recently, we hadn't done this very often. Like I think we had the Mexico game a couple years ago. It's not like they were doing this every year where now we're seeing, okay, this year it's Korea, next year it might be Japan. It wasn't as prevalent. I think we might have had a London game.
Well, we have a London game last year, and we're going to have one this year. Next year, they're not. I think they're going to have it in Paris next year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then
in
the
lieu of
Yankees,
London.
and then the Yankees had that exhibition game in Mexico, or no, that's coming up. That's coming up towards
That's
the end
coming
of the
out.
month.
That's going to be during the regular season.
Mm-hmm. I think it's still considered an exhibition game. I think it's right before the regular season starts because they're playing the team in Mexico.
Do you want me to? I thought they were actually playing a Major League Baseball team, so I'm gonna stall here for time to give you time to check on this to save you from a base running error. But my understanding is that the Yankees game in Mexico is part of the regular season.
Hmm.
I believe the
Yes.
Red Sox, that game was
No, they're
exhibition.
playing the Diablos Rojos.
Okay, so it is an exhibition then. Okay. I stand
Yeah.
corrected. My bad. I'm sorry for mansplaining to you. I
It's
am
okay.
sorry
It's
for
okay. It's okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry for
So
mansplaining.
the Yankees and the Diablos Rojos del Mexico will play 2 exhibition games in Mexico City on March 24th and March 25th.
So then the only one which
So
are
the
the actual international series that
this
are going to
one
be taking place? So this is the only one that's going to
and
be actual during the season?
and potentially London. Did I just see that in this article? I could have sworn I just saw somebody say something like that. I'll have to look and see where the London one is taking place.
All right, we're going to end the episode on a cliffhanger where we're
Oh,
going to
dun,
go ahead
dun,
and
dun. We'll
I al-
we'll pick it up on the next episode.
I already know how we're starting the show, the next episode. So, that's going to do it for this episode of Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, do you have any last words that you want to get in before we end the show?
Yeah, listen to the next episode because I already have the answer.
Uh-oh, there we go. To be continued, everybody. To be continued. With that being said, let's take care of some business here. If you are listening to us on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast and rate us, write us a review on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching us there, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments, and make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. This has been another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez. We'll see you next time. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people.